Hi, welcome to this quick video about a really cool update that's just been released. I want to show you there's about a dozen new really cool features that have been added into Workshop software, which is just makes your life just a little bit easier, a little bit more streamlined, and hopefully make you a bit more profitable, which is fantastic. So let's go take a look. We're going to jump straight in, and the first thing in the Job Center, for example, is there's a new way of showing the actual transactions themselves. So when I click on it, there is now more information about the vehicle. There's more information about the customer, but there is also this very cool information here as well. So this 75,000 kilometer service, that's actually the description of the job, and the customer reports noise, etc., is the actual job code comments. So you can see that just at the click of the button. So it really does give you that more information without actually having to necessarily open up the invoice or the job card itself. So if I just actually open the invoice just to show you what that is. So the description has come from here, and the job card notes has come from here. So those two things now, if we go back into the Job Center, you'll see that that information is just very simply and quickly ascertained from in this job code list, which is really, really great in the Job Center. So that's just going to be a time saver and gives you a bit more information about what's going on all your jobs. So the next thing is a really cool addition to Workshop software, which I'm sure you're going to love. I'm just going to pick another random job that we've actually got in the system at the moment. And what I'm going to do is if I scroll down, I'm just going to email this invoice off to a customer. And let me just put in, say, my email address just for safety's sake. And I'm going to go send. This is going to go off and send this email, but it's what is done after this, which is really, really cool. So it says that the email is sent. What you'll notice now is you'll see that this activity log is now displayed here. So if you click on that, you can actually see that the invoice was actually emailed at this date and time, was sent to this particular email address by this particular user. So this activity log is going to have emails. It's got a few other things that get updated when a transaction gets updated. So you'll be able to see a little bit about what's going on with the actual invoice or job card on an ongoing basis. So that activity log is keeping all that sort of information in there to see exactly what's been going on. So that is a really cool update to Workshop software, and I'm sure that's going to be a really big help for you. Okay, so while we're in this invoice itself, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and process this invoice. I'm going to show you another really cool thing that's happened in here as well. So what happens now is I've processed that invoice. It's now a closed invoice, so it's been finalized, right? Now in here, there is a new pop-up here, or a new window that is available, which is the invoice payments. So there's been no payment. We haven't paid this invoice yet. So you can see that this is a new thing. But what I can do is if I click on the plus sign, it'll actually open up the customer payment. I can go off and choose either the invoice that I've just done or other invoices. So this guy's got a fair few invoices. So if I just go down and select that invoice, and I'm going to apply that payment and then go and process it. It says I want to update it and process it. I can go and do that. So now if I go and have a look at the invoice number 50670 and I go and open up that invoice, what you can see in here now is that you've got an invoice payment and you've got that payment that has been allocated in there. So it will show you any payments. If the whole of the invoice wasn't paid off, you would actually still be able to click on the plus sign here. So you can tell that it's been completely paid by seeing that. I could double click on this and open it if I wanted to and see what the story was. And I can go back to that invoice and see the details in the invoice. So it just gives you that a great level of being able to see exactly what's going on with the invoice, being able to see the payments, create the payment from within the invoice. It just makes life a whole lot easier and helps you with reconciling and knowing what's going on in your workshop. The next thing that's been updated is if you go into the dashboard, what you can see here, these numbers here were inclusive of tax. And some people asked us, could we have them exclusive of tax? And we changed it. And what we've now done is given you the ability to have both. So you can have tax included or tax excluded. It's up to you. It's pretty straightforward to change that little setting there, and it goes and re-shows you that particular piece of information, which is a small but effective change to the way you view your sales information. Another thing in the stock take, we've actually allowed you to hide zero stock. So if you don't want to see anything that has got zero stock on hand and you don't want to have that in your stock take list, you can say yes to that and it will not display. So you see here that particular product there, which was zero stock on hand, would not be displayed in the list. So that's another little improvement, but also just make your life a little bit more efficient. In the mechanics, when I go and add a new mechanic, there was a little issue previously where if you entered in the schedule before you saved them, it caused an error. So we've actually fixed that. If you put in the details of a mechanic, click save, it will show you the schedule box. So if I put in John Smith and I put in save, it will then put in the schedule information. You put that in and save the schedule information. So just a small but nice little improvement as well, just to make it a little bit more user-friendly. The other thing under reports, under business reports, we've now made this a lot easier to navigate through the reports. So we've broken them down into more groups. So in the sales reports, for example, you get all of the sales report in this section. You get the stock reports in this section. Workshop reports, mechanic reports specifically, customer, supplier, and so on. So it just makes it a little bit easier to find where the reports are. And as we grow our report, number of reports in the system, it was getting a little bit long in the list previously, which just had all of that all put into the workshop report. So we've broken those out a little bit now, and we will continue to add more functionality in reports, and a bit more analytical information is part of our future plan, and there's always new things going on with the report. So again, it was just another small but nice way of being able to make it a little bit more user-friendly again. Also, in the import section, we've added more information that we can import. So, for example, you can import bundles or kits. So you can import the parent, and the bundle of items have been added in there. And we've also done some general improvements to some of the import functionality, where you can import more information in various parts of the system. And it is also a little less rigid in the sense that if it fails on an import, it will still go through the process. So, for example, previously when you were importing vehicles, if some of them didn't find customers, and it got to a certain number, it would stop the import and say, hey, you got too many errors. We let that go now, which I think is a little bit more user-friendly again. So there are a few little but really great time-saving enhancements to workshop software. So another cool thing that we've got in here is we can go and see, if I go and pull up an invoice that I did just a little bit earlier on, and I've actually applied a credit here. So if you have a look here, you've got this credit application, and you can see that this credit here was applied to this particular invoice. You can also click on that, double click on it, and open it up. So this is the actual credit that was done. So you can see that this credit, and it shows you also that the credit was applied to the invoice number. So it's both ways. So if I click on this, it goes back into that invoice number itself. So that's just a good way of being able to see what's been processed, and how you can see the credit applications and have them go from one transaction to another. So there you have it. There's a number of interesting and really cool updates to workshop software. We've got a couple of really exciting things coming in the not too distant future as well, which I think you're going to love. So stay tuned to and keep an eye out for those sorts of things. And as always, really appreciate your help and support, and the feedback we've been getting has been great. Thanks a lot.